There is a specific kind of financial exposure that hides behind a good salary. It does not look like struggle. It does not look like someone who needs help. It looks like a woman who has clearly figured it out. The good job, the nice apartment, the life that photographs well. And from the outside, nobody would ever guess that underneath all of it, the numbers tell a completely different story. Tracy is 34. She earns $82,000 a year. Let that number sit for a second. $82,000. She is in the top third of earners in this country. She has a savings account with $5,200 in it. Not $52,000, not $520,000, $5,200 on $82,000 a year. She has never once sat down and calculated what that means for the woman she is going to be at 65, because the salary feels like safety. And as long as the salary feels like safety, the question feels unnecessary. It is not unnecessary. It is the most important question she has not asked. Kelly is also 34. They were in the same friend group at university, same graduation year, same job market, same economy, same city. Kelly earns $73,000, $9,000 less than Tracy. By 34, Kelly has $89,000 in retirement savings and investments combined. She drives a 5-year-old Honda she bought used and paid off in 2 years. She lives in a one-bedroom that costs $300 less per month than Tracy's. She does not feel deprived. She feels, in a way she sometimes struggles to explain to people, free. The woman earning $9,000 less built 17 times more in savings. This is not a story about discipline or sacrifice or being some kind of financial robot who doesn't enjoy her life. It is a story about 6 decisions. Decisions most women in their 30s make without realizing they're making them, because nobody ever sat them down and explained that the stakes were this high. Today, we're going through those 6 decisions, because your 30s are not a warm-up act for your financial life. They are the main event. And if you're in them right now or approaching them fast, this is the most important thing you will watch this week. Before the 6 decisions, I need you to understand why the 30s specifically, not the 20s, not the 40s, your 30s. 3 forces align in this decade that will never align this way again. The first is rising income. You are past entry level. You're past prove yourself. Raises are happening. The income available to you right now is meaningfully higher than it was at 24. And it has not yet been consumed by the bigger financial commitments that tend to arrive in the 40s. There's margin here, real margin. The question is whether you capture it before lifestyle does. The second force is compounding time. At 34, you have 31 years until traditional retirement. A dollar invested today at 8% annual return becomes more than $10 by the time you're 65. At 44, you have 21 years. That same dollar becomes less than $5. At 54, it barely doubles. The multiplying power of time drops sharply with every year you wait. Your 30s are the last decade where the compounding math is dramatically, undeniably in your favor. The third force is expense stabilization. For the first time in your adult life, you are not setting up from scratch. The furniture exists, the wardrobe is established. The frantic spending of the 20s, building a life from nothing, has slowed. Margin is possible in a way it wasn't before. But lifestyle inflation is ready and waiting to absorb every dollar of that margin the moment it appears. These 3 forces, rising income, powerful compounding, stabilizing expenses, will never align this way again. Research confirms what the math suggests. The wealth gap between women who invest consistently through their 30s versus women who delay to their 40s exceeds $400,000 by retirement on identical incomes, not from earning more, from starting earlier. $400,000 from 1 decade. Let that land. So what were the 6 decisions? Let's go back to Tracy and Kelly, because they made all 6 of them differently in the same decade, and it made all the difference. Decision 1, what you do with every single raise. Tracy got a raise at 32, $5,000 more per year. She remembers exactly what she did with it. She upgraded her apartment, $300 more per month. She had been wanting a nicer place for a year, and the raise made it feel justified. She deserved it. She had worked hard. The math worked. Barely, but it worked. What she did not realize was that she had just made a permanent financial decision disguised as a temporary lifestyle upgrade, because once you live in the nicer apartment, you do not move back. The $300 per month did not go to her future. It went to her landlord's future, and every raise after that got absorbed the same way. A little more here, a little nicer there. The lifestyle quietly expanding to swallow every income increase before it could become wealth. Kelly got the same raise at 32. Before she changed a single thing about her life, she logged into her 401k and increased her contribution by $200 a month. Then she transferred $100 a month to her Roth IRA. She let the remaining $116 improve her life. A nicer gym, a streaming service she had been avoiding. She barely felt the difference, but the $300 going to investments over 10 years at 8% annual return, that $300 per month became $55,000 from one raise, redirected before she could get used to spending it. This is the lifestyle split, and it is the single most powerful financial habit available to a woman in her 30s. Every time your income increases, direct at least 50% of the increase to investments before your lifestyle adjusts. The lifestyle never misses what it never had, but the investment account compounds on it for decades. The next time you get a raise, before you change one thing about your life, log into your retirement account and increase your contribution that same day, before the money lands, before your brain starts spending it, before the apartment upgrade starts looking reasonable. That one habit applied consistently through your 30s is worth more than any other financial decision you will make in this decade. Decision 2. The car. Nobody talks about the car honestly, and it is quietly one of the most destructive financial decisions women make in their 30s, not because it is dramatic, but because it feels completely reasonable at the time. At 33, Tracy's old car finally gave out. She went to the dealership with a vague sense of what she could afford monthly and left with a brand new $36,000 SUV and a 6-year loan at $580 a month. It felt manageable. It felt earned. It felt, honestly, really good to drive off that lot. Here's what $580 a month for 6 years actually costs. Not in payments, but in wealth. $580 a month invested at 8% over 6 years is $54,000. That's what the car cost her in retirement wealth, not the $36,000 on the sticker, not the $41,760 she will pay in total loan payments, $54,000 in compounding wealth she chose not to build because the monthly payment felt manageable and the car felt earned. At the end of 6 years, the car is worth approximately $11,000. She paid $54,000 in opportunity cost for an asset worth $11,000. Kelly's car gave out the same year. She spent 2 weekends looking at certified pre-owned vehicles and bought a 3-year-old Honda CR-V for $18,500. She financed $10,000 of it over 2 years at $430 a month, paid it off, and has driven it since. Her car payment lasted 24 months. Tracy's lasted 72. The month after Kelly's car was paid off, the $430 went straight to her index fund. That's the money that became part of her $89,000. The rule is not never buy a nice car. The rule is the car is a tool, not a trophy, and you should spend as little as necessary on a reliable one. Buy 3 to 5 years used, buy reliable, Honda, Toyota, Mazda, finance for the shortest term possible, pay it off, and redirect the payment to investments the month after you do. The car you drive in your 30s is not a reflection of who you are. It's a decision about who you will be at 65. Decision 3, the housing pressure. There's a specific social script that runs in your 30s, and it goes something like this. You should be buying by now. Renting is throwing money away. Property always goes up. You don't want to be renting at 40, do you? Your parents owned by your age. Tracy heard this at every family dinner, every catch-up with friends, every scroll through Instagram where someone she went to school with was posting, "We got the keys," with a bottle of champagne. At 34, she bought a 2-bedroom apartment for $380,000 with 8% down because the pressure had become unbearable, and she couldn't explain to one more person why she was still renting. Her total monthly housing costs Mortgage, property tax, insurance, maintenance reserve came to $3,400. Her take-home pay was $5,300 a month. She was spending 64% of her take-home on housing alone. There was nothing left, not for investments, not for an emergency fund, not for anything except the fixed costs of a life that had been purchased before it could be afforded. In the first year she owned that apartment, she put $9,000 on credit cards, not because she was reckless, because the margins were impossible, and life kept happening anyway. Kelly heard the same script. She ran the actual numbers instead of responding to the pressure. Housing costs at 28% of her gross monthly income, the ceiling, not the target, meant she could comfortably afford $1,703 per month total in her city. That did not buy her a property she wanted to own, so she kept renting. She invested the difference. 2 years later, her income had grown. She bought when the math worked, not when the social pressure peaked. The 28% rule is the difference between a home that supports your life and a home that consumes it. Total housing costs, every single line item at or below 28% of your gross monthly income. If the home requires more than that, the home is not yet affordable. Buying it anyway does not make you a homeowner. It makes you house poor. Asset rich, cash poor, and too stretched to enjoy either. Renting while you wait for the math to work is not failure. It is one of the most financially intelligent decisions a woman in her 30s can make. Decision 4. The Roth IRA you keep meaning to open. The average woman in her 30s who has not opened a Roth IRA usually been meaning to for between 1 and 3 years. Not unaware of it, meaning to. The tab is open, the article is bookmarked, the YouTube video is half-watched, and every month that passes without action is a month the compounding clock is not running, which in your 30s, with 30-plus years of growth available to you, is the most expensive delay in personal finance. Kelly opened her Roth IRA at 29 on a Sunday afternoon she describes as completely unremarkable. Fidelity's website. Open account. Roth IRA. Bank connected. $150 automatic monthly contribution into FZROX. Fidelity's zero-fee total market index fund. Laptop closed. 19 minutes. She is now 34. That account has $9,400 in it and has never required a single active decision beyond that one Sunday. It just runs. Every month, $150 arrives, buys shares at whatever price the market is offering that day, and compounds quietly in the background of her life. By 65, assuming she never increases that contribution, which she will, that account will hold approximately $530,000, tax-free, every dollar of growth untouched by the IRS, because she chose a Roth when her tax bracket was relatively low and her time horizon was long. Tracy still has not opened hers. She has been meaning to since she was 30. She is 34. Those 4 years of meaning to have cost her approximately $36,000 in future retirement wealth. Not from not contributing enough, from not starting the clock. Open the account. Contribute whatever you can. $50, $100, $150. The amount is almost secondary to the start date because the start date is when compounding begins. And in your 30s, every month that clock is not running is a month working against the woman you are going to be at 65. This is the point in the video where I want to check back in on Tracy, because by decision 4, it would be easy to look at her choices and conclude that she is simply bad with money, that she does not care, that she has been careless with an $82,000 salary, and the gap between her and Kelly is a character flaw dressed up as a financial story. It is not. Tracy is not careless. She is uninformed. There is an enormous difference between those two things. And it matters because one of them is fixable and the other is a judgment. Nobody showed Tracy the compounding math on her raise. Nobody explained the lifestyle split. Nobody calculated what 4 years of not opening a Roth IRA actually cost in real numbers. She has been making decisions that felt completely normal for someone at her income level, because to everyone around her, they were. The apartment upgrade, the new car, the house bought under social pressure. These are not the choices of a reckless woman. They are the choices of a well-paid woman operating without the information that would have made her choose differently. You have that information now. So did Tracy. Keep going. Decision 5. The debt that quietly wins. Claudia turned 30 with $6,800 on a credit card at 22% interest and a 3% 401k contribution she was proud of. She was doing both things simultaneously, building wealth at 8% annually and destroying it at 22% annually. One foot on the accelerator, one foot on the brake. The brake was winning, and she had no idea. A friend sat her down and said something that reframed everything. Claudia, there is no investment in the world that guarantees you a 22% return, but paying off your credit card does. Every dollar you put toward that card is a guaranteed 22% return. You are currently choosing an 8% return over a guaranteed 22% return because one feels like investing and the other feels like paying bills. They are the same thing. One of them is just better. Claudia stopped investing beyond her employer match. She used the avalanche method, minimum payments on everything, every spare dollar to the highest interest debt first. The $6,800 was gone in 11 months. Then she took the $580 she had been putting toward the debt and redirected every single dollar to her Roth IRA. The month the debt was gone, that $580 became the most powerful monthly contribution she had ever made because it was finally working for her instead of against her. Debt elimination is not the opposite of wealth building. It is the first chapter of it. Decision 6. The salary conversation you keep putting off. At 33, Tracy's annual performance review came around. The raise offer was $4,100, a 5% increase. Tracy signed it that afternoon. She was grateful. She didn't want to seem difficult. Kelly's review was the same week. Her offer was $3,100. Kelly asked for a meeting. She came with market salary data for her role in her city, a one-page summary of her measurable contributions, and a number. $6,000. She did not apologize for the conversation. She presented a case. She got $5,200, $2,100 more than her offer per year. Invested at 8% over 30 years, $257,000 in additional retirement wealth from one conversation, 22 minutes. Ask for a raise every 18 months. Research the market rate. Know your number before you walk into the room. The actual number you want, not the number you would reluctantly accept. And when the conversation feels uncomfortable, remember that your male colleague had the exact same conversation without a second thought and is currently compounding the difference. The discomfort of asking lasts 20 minutes. The cost of not asking compounds for 30 years. 6 decisions. Same decade. Completely different outcomes. 1. The lifestyle split. Every raise, 50% to investments before your lifestyle adjusts. The lifestyle never misses what it never had. 2. The car, a tool, not a trophy. Buy used, buy reliable, redirect the payment to investments the month it is paid off. 3. The housing rule. 28% of gross income is your ceiling on total housing costs. Renting while the math does not work is not failure. It is discipline. 4. The Roth IRA. Open it this week. 19 minutes. The start date matters more than the amount. 5. The debt avalanche method. Highest interest first. Every cleared payment becomes an investment contribution. 1 foot off the brake. 6. The salary conversation. Every 18 months. With data, with a number. Without apology. Kelly built $89,000 on $73,000 a year. Tracy has $5,200 on $82,000. Same decade, same opportunities, same city. 6 decisions. That is the whole story. That has always been the whole story. Tracy is at her desk on a Wednesday afternoon eating lunch when she watches a video, not unlike this one, and something clicks. She opens her accounts. She looks at the actual numbers, the $5,200 in savings at 34, the 0 in the retirement column, the $9,000 on the credit card, the apartment costs eating 64% of her take-home pay. She does not feel hopeless. She feels, for the first time in a long time, clear. She cannot undo the last 4 years, but she has 31 more until retirement. 31 years of compounding still available if she starts today. She opens Fidelity. She opens a Roth IRA. She contributes $100. She sets up a $100 automatic monthly transfer. She closes the laptop. It is not a dramatic moment. It's a Wednesday afternoon, but it is the Wednesday afternoon that changed what her retirement looks like, because the compounding clock just started. And from here, every single month, it runs in her favor. Here's what I want you to do before this video ends. Pick one of these 6 decisions, just one, that you know applies to you right now. The raise you've been putting off asking for, the Roth IRA you've been meaning to open, the credit card balance you've been making minimum payments on while telling yourself you'll deal with it properly soon. Pick one. Write it down. Commit to one action on it this week. Not this month, not when things settle down. This week. Because your 30s are happening right now. Not later, not eventually. Right now, while you're watching this. And every week you spend in them is either a week that compounds for you or a week that doesn't. Subscribe so you're here next week, because we're going into one of the most underreported financial crises affecting women today, the hidden retirement cost of maternity leave and career breaks. The numbers are going to make you angry, and then they're going to make you act. Share this with a woman in her 30s who needs to hear it. She doesn't need to be in financial trouble to need this video. She just needs to be the woman sitting at her desk on a Wednesday, feeling vaguely uncomfortable about a question she hasn't let herself fully ask yet. This video is the answer to that question. Make sure she sees it.